I call on Right Worshipful David Gower to make his oration. Let's give him the undivided attention that he deserves.
I need y'all's help today. Let's just take a big, deep breath together. Ready? Whew. Most worshipful Grandmaster, right worshipful and worshipful Grand Lodge officers, past and present, honored guests, ladies, and my brethren all. I am David Gower, past master of Point Isabel Lodge, number 33. At Grand Lodge, back in 2020, our Grandmaster, most worshipful G. Clay Smith, was running for the Grand South. And he told me that if he got elected, he was going to put me to work. And I have to confess, that made me pretty nervous because I really didn't know what he was talking about. And shortly after the election, I saw him out in the concourse coming towards me, and I remembered what he said. And I thought to myself, well, maybe he wants me to be a conference coordinator. I've done that before. I think I could probably do that again. Or maybe he would want me to be a Grand Tyler. I think if I learned the work, I could probably do that job. And when he said, David, I want you to be Grand Orator, well, I was shocked. And for a few moments, I couldn't speak. And when I finally got my voice back, about a month later, I called him. And we began to talk about the oration. And I had some ideas of what I wanted to say, and I wanted his input. And we both agreed that I didn't want to get up here today and talk about membership issues or lodge attendance issues or the challenges our fraternity faces these days. And I certainly didn't want to get up here and tell you how much your dues should be, brothers. But I wanted it to be an uplifting message. Something that gives you, brethren, the membership, a good feeling about masonry and being a Mason. And we talked quite a while that evening. We talked a lot about the fraternity, and we talked a lot about family. And the word gratitude kept coming up over and over again. And finally, I think we both knew that what I needed to talk about today was gratitude and the many things we are and should be grateful for. So over the next few weeks and months, I thought a lot about gratitude and what it meant to me. And I was thinking about some of the things I wanted to say, and I recalled being in a real estate class several years ago. That's what I do for a living. I'm a real estate broker. And this was not your average type of class, but it was actually an extremely intense, very focused 7-week series of classes. And in one of those classes, we spent quite a bit of time talking about being grateful and what it meant to be grateful. And we were challenged in the middle of the class to grab our cell phones, step outside of the building, and call the first people we think of that we are grateful for and tell them and see how good it made them feel, and just as importantly, how good it made us feel. So I grabbed my phone and I walked out of the class, and the first people I thought of was my wife, Kimberly, and our daughter, Jenny. And I called each one of them individually and told them how grateful I was to have them in my life and how much I loved them. And then I thought of my parents. So I called my mother, Barbara Gower, and told her how grateful I was that she was my mother and how thankful I was for all the things she did, not just for me, but for our entire family. And then I called my dad, Mike Gower. Yep, that's right, the Mike Gower, past Grandmaster Gower. And I told him how grateful I was that he was my father and how thankful I was to have him as a role model in my life. And I was also very thankful for all the time we got to spend together, hunting and fishing and all the different places we got to go. And he told me that he was grateful that I was his son. And he also said that he was very thankful that he didn't end up killing me when I was a rebellious teenager. He really did. He said he surely thought he was going to have to with all the crazy stuff I pulled when I was growing up. And brethren, it caught me off guard, and I said, "Come on, Dad, what are you talking about?" And he said, "Son, don't you remember when you did this?" And I said, "Well, yes, I do." And he said, "Don't you remember when you did that?" And I said, "Damn, I thought you would have forgot about that one by now." He continued. He said, "At one point, I thought I was going to have to leave you in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico on one of our fishing trips, tell your mama you fell overboard, and I just couldn't find you." And the truth is, we had a great laugh that day. And the next time we got together, we talked about some of those hunting trips and fishing trips that we took together. So, before I continue with this oration, I guess I need to be grateful to my Father that I'm still here at all. Thank you, Right Worshipful Sir, brother, Dad. Now, before putting pen to paper, or as we do nowadays, before putting fingers to keyboard, I think it is always a good idea to have a clear definition of what I'm going to be talking about. And I can tell you it's a little frustrating to get several pages into a paper and finding out that there are different aspects of or different ways to look at the same word. And sure enough, grateful or being grateful didn't always mean the same thing in every situation. When you ask good old Uncle Google for the definition of being grateful, he responds by saying, "It is the quality of being thankful." And I thought to myself, is that it? Is that all? Is there nothing more profound here? And I realized that this was going to require some serious thought for me to get a personal understanding of what being grateful is to me. And I began to think about things that I should be thankful for. And I'm a little old school, so I just decided I would make a list. And I got out a pen and paper, and I started writing down the very first things I thought of that I was grateful for. And for me, it was things like, and these are in no particular order, my eyesight, my health, my shotguns, yes sir, my fishing rods, sunrises and sunsets, tacos. I mean, who is not grateful for a really good taco? Tamales at Christmas, my truck, my child's success, more shotguns, pistols, rifles. Brethren, I like to shoot. More fishing rods and fishing equipment. I mean, you can never have too much. And of course, good times with great friends. And as I was sitting there with the warm and fuzzy thoughts of what I was grateful for, I began to think that something was not totally right here. The more I thought about it, the more I began to feel a little guilty for being thankful for all those material things, when in the grand scheme of life, they mean very little. It is true, the more time you spend contemplating something, and especially something that is troubling, the clearer the answer becomes. And I begin to realize that simply being thankful or grateful for the sake of being grateful does not necessarily lead to that unselfish concern for others that we should be striving for. Let me ask you something. Is it possible that when not properly understood, our gratitude and the things we are grateful for could lead to us being self-centered? Am I saying we shouldn't be grateful? Not at all. Gratitude, when mixed with an awareness and a healthy intention, can lead us to a sense of peace, a sense of inner peace, if you will. If my intention is to be grateful simply because it looks good, like what many do on social media these days, then I become more and more self-centered. Yet, if my intention is to be grateful for the sake of being thankful with a readiness to show appreciation, then I will find that gratitude has a purpose. Why? Because being grateful is not the end goal. Rather, gratitude is the beginning of the process of giving back. The dictionary further defines gratitude as a readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. The key of this definition is the phrase, "and to return kindness." The intention and end goal is no longer self, but the action of giving back to others that which we have received. As we think of others and their needs, our gratitude shifts from what we have to what we can give to others. Christopher Shea from Life's Journey blog writes, mindfulness is commonly defined as a means of paying attention in a particular way on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. The practice of mindfulness coupled with an attitude of gratitude focus us on the present with an appreciation for what we have now rather than wanting more and more. Maintaining a focus on an appreciation in the present moment protects us from the evils of greed, which will certainly turn us away from any sort of inner peace. Gratitude for what we have at this moment, mixed with a desire to return kindness to others, is a healthy sense of gratitude, creating in us a deeper sense of self and certainly a deeper sense of peace. True gratitude, practiced mindfully, reveals a connectedness. Being thankful connects us to those who have given us the reason to be thankful, while at the same time inspiring us to be gift givers. In this sense, our well-being and the well-being of others are connected, and we begin to understand more fully how social connections impact us. Spreading gratitude to others creates gratitude within ourselves, and then the cycle is repeated when that person in turn spreads their newfound gratitude onto others. Gratitude, as with hate, spreads rapidly throughout societies. Acknowledging gratitude for our material goods and the gifts we have is not sufficient. We need to also acknowledge gratitude for the people whom we know and those unknown to us who enable us to have and to be who we are at this present moment. When our thankfulness becomes compassion and compassion leads to action, then true gratitude is realized. It is amazing to me that these next words, spoken most likely by a non-Mason, speak so strongly to much of what Masonry seeks to teach us all. With gratitude, people acknowledge the goodness in their lives. As a result, gratitude also helps people connect to something larger than themselves as individuals, whether it's to other people or nature or a higher power. What does this look like in our everyday world? Well, it is people being civil and respectful to each other regardless of our differences. It is tolerance of others, even in the face of intolerance. It is doing the right thing, even when you don't agree with it, just because it is the right thing to do. Now, you never know when or where or how gratefulness will show up, and it is a tradition of the 40th Masonic District to have an early morning breakfast on Saturday at Grand Lodge. And the year that I was in charge of putting it all together, I wanted us all to thank the servers and the cook. I mean, after all, they got up much earlier than we did to cook us a great breakfast. I know the servers appreciated it, and when I stuck my head in the kitchen and asked the cook to come out so we could say thank you, he walked towards me with a smile on his face, shook my hand, looked me in the eye, and gave me the grip. You know what I'm talking about, brethren? And he said, it was a great cooking for you, brother. He enjoyed it. He was a Mason. I was startled and happy and maybe even a little emotional all at the same time, but it was a great feeling. That brother took gratefulness to a higher level by being grateful for the opportunity to do something for us. Being a Mason is always a great feeling, but every now and then it becomes something that transcends the words used to describe it. We sometimes mistakenly believe that being grateful is acknowledging only the good things in our lives, but it is those difficult times in our lives, those difficult situations that really shape our character for the future and give us that opportunity to begin that internal transformation aided by the wonderful tools of this gentle craft. Masonry begins to teach us gratitude almost immediately as we begin our Masonic journey. Brethren, think for a minute about your entered apprentice degree. At one point, and because I cannot write it, I am paraphrasing here, But at one point, you are helped to your feet and told not to worry, that someone will be with you the rest of the way. I don't remember actually thinking about it at the time, but I know that I had to have been intuitively grateful that being in the dark, in more ways than one, I would have someone, one I was soon to be a brother to, with me the rest of my journey. If you think about it seriously, you will know that there is nothing we do or have ever done alone. That book that sits on the altar in every lodge tells us we are never alone. He is always with us. And then in the master's degree, there is that special time near the end of the floor degree that the candidate experiences many emotions: confusion, uncertainty, maybe even fear. And then the moment when he is raised, a new sensation replaces the old ones, and that sensation is certainly gratitude. I have witnessed many raisings and participated in a few, and watching their faces at that life-changing moment we have all participated in, some have a smile, and some, while not smiling, have a satisfied, relieved, and yes, an obviously grateful expression on their faces. Once again, Masonry inspiring gratitude. And how about in the charge to the new master of a lodge that all of us have heard? In that charge are some of the most beautiful words in Masonry, about Masonry. For example, at the very end of the installation, the installing officer asked the members of the lodge to all rise. And in the second to the last paragraph of that final part of the installation, he says, "Finally, my brethren, as the business of this lodge has been conducted in peace and harmony, so may it long continue. May you and your associates long enjoy every satisfaction and delight which disinterested friendship can afford. May kindness and brotherly affection distinguish your conduct as men and as Masons." Now, if you're like me, most of us have probably not paid a whole lot of attention to those beautiful and important words, especially the word disinterested. Most are a little confused about that word, but quickly put it out of our mind in the excitement of the moment. The word disinterested means not influenced by personal feelings, opinions, or concerns. A disinterested friend is one who is a friend and is not influenced by personal feelings, opinions, or concerns. One whose friendship is not based on what he can get in return for that friendship. A truly unselfish friendship. As I have gotten older, I realize how blessed I have been in my life and how blessed I am right now. And it may be more of an awareness of myself personally or a better appreciation of life and people in general. We have all gone through very difficult times in this life, and the chances are that we will experience more difficulties in the future. But attitude, mindset, and yes, gratitude have gotten me through those times and have had a profound impact on me personally. I think if you ask anyone, they can give you a list of things they are grateful for. It can be anything, anyone, or any situation. When I wake up in the mornings, well, hell, I'm grateful for that. I woke up. But for me, it starts with the beginning of my day. And typically, I'm focused on some quiet time and getting mentally prepared for work. Grateful to have a job that I love. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it has provided for my family and gives me incredible flexibility. I'm not tied to a sales desk like I used to be when I worked in the produce business with my family. And if I want to go visit family, I just put it on the calendar, plan it out, and go. And I am very grateful for my family, obviously. We have always remained very close, even through life's most darkest times. I know of families that don't speak to each other, siblings that have zero relationship with each other. Let me tell you something. If that were to ever happen between my siblings, my sweet little mother who's sitting over here would be the first one to kick everybody's butt. And then my dad would chime in, and when we were little kids, his spankings always hurt more. And yes, we were spanked. You said the wrong thing, you got in trouble, you got a spanking. Some of us were spanked more than others. My mother would probably say, some of us weren't spanked enough. And it's not the fear of disappointing a parent, it's just not how we were raised. We were raised to love each other unconditionally, even when we weren't getting along. So many material things which really don't matter. What matters to me is how I will treat someone. Now, there is a rule that I've learned in my business, and this rule can be applied to every occupation, every organization, and it certainly can be applied to masonry. And this is the rule. You teach people how to treat you. Ladies and gentlemen, brethren, I think it's worth repeating. You teach people how to treat you. If you're kind and considerate, you'll probably get treated in the same way. On the other hand, if you act like a jackass, well, they're probably going to treat you like one. At the top of a long, long list of everything I'm grateful for has to be people. And I hope that I do a good job of showing those people how blessed I am to have them in my life, even if just for a brief moment. How do I apply this to masonry? Well, one thing this fraternity has taught me is how to treat my brothers, even the ones I don't like. Come on, brethren, we're all adults here. I don't like every single person I meet, and I'm confident there are people that don't like me, and that's okay. As a young Mason, I can remember having a heated discussion with a brother. You know what that is, right? It's an argument. I was having a heated discussion with a brother over the work, over the ritual, both of us insisting how we had it this way. How stupid was that? Discussing our differences is one thing, but letting differences lead to dissension, especially in the lodge, is totally wrong. And yes, I was guilty of that at that time. Realizing that the brother sitting next to me is a human being like myself and may not always act as one like myself helps me understand that none of us are perfect. The lessons taught in masonry are perfect in a sense, but we as humans are not. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to say the wrong thing at the wrong time. The better way is to be grateful for our differences. Be grateful for the members of our lodge. You know, when I'm sitting at my lodge back home and I'm looking at the different officer positions that are being filled, I've always wondered to myself, who in their right mind would want to be secretary? Not me, but I better be grateful for the man that is willing to put in his personal time to take on an extremely vital role in our lodges. God bless the brother that is willing to do that. I have worked and labored side by side with many men and brothers over the years, and I've often tried to define masonry, and I find it overall, it is mostly undefinable. It embodies so many different aspects of life and of a man's being that to pin it down into one definition is truly impossible. What is needed or desirable for one man is different for another man. But I do believe there is an invisible Masonic aura that transcends friendship. It allows men to love one another aside from their differences, personalities, and attitudes. Remember, this is a secret organization, and the secret can never be found out by those seeking it just for the sake of knowing it, because the secret is the connection, emotions, and the intuitive common knowledge, shared chemistry, and unbreakable bond between brother Masons. Sometimes I don't think we understand what a special organization we belong to. If we did, we would be more grateful for it and more grateful for each other. Have I mentioned that I'm grateful for masonry? I hope it's obvious, but I can tell you, I remember being grateful for this fraternity and so thankful to be a part of it from the very beginning. Now, I had been a Master Mason about a month the first time I came to Grand Lodge. I didn't know what to expect, and I got in town on Wednesday, And my plan was I would just have dinner with my parents that night, catch up with my brothers from the lodge the next day. Well, my dad had some event he had to go to, and my mother had to go to a dinner that had been organized by past Grandmaster Leonard Harvey and his wife, Lena Ruth. And when past Grandmaster Harvey found out that I was probably going to go grab a burger by myself and head back to my hotel, he invited me to the dinner. This dinner was a gathering of some of the district deputy Grand Masters from Leonard Harvey's year as Grand Master. And it was a very nice dinner. And towards the end of the evening, past Grand Master Harvey stood up and recalled all of the fun, fellowship, and friendships made with his DDGMs that year and the love he had for each one of them. And then, one by one, each one of those deputies stood up and echoed their love and appreciation and gratitude for the time they were able to spend with him and his wife that year. They recalled certain events throughout the year and were telling different stories, and laughter permeated the room. And there were some tears in those stories too. I don't remember knowing anyone in that room except Leonard, Lena Ruth, and my mother. Hell, I didn't even know what a DDGM was. But I clearly remember thinking to myself that if the only thing I ever got out of this fraternity was the relationships, brotherhood, and love that I saw in that room that night, that would be enough for me. Having a frame of mind to recognize the value in every experience, good or bad, in one's life leads to a greater sense of awareness of our greater purpose and the gift of life that God has bestowed on each of us. And that awareness makes us grateful and thankful for everything in our life. Most men want to make a difference in their lives and their world. We spend countless hours over our lifetimes yearning to make a difference when, like our Masonic secrets, the opportunity, tools, time are always right in front of us. Brethren, it is no coincidence that we, you and I, are right here, right now, in this time on earth to do something really special. To look and work not at ourselves and for ourselves, but for everyone. I believe that we are all here for a purpose and that this is no chance meeting. I believe that we are being given an amazing opportunity to do something truly special. Rather than build yourself up, build someone else up. Give them a compliment, shake their hand, tell them what a great job they're doing. It will cost you nothing, but it will mean everything to them and to you. I am grateful that Masonry has given me the ability to learn some amazing things and to understand them at a deeper level, and that understanding has led to an awareness that I could never have imagined, an awareness that has been life-changing, and I shall forever treasure this experience. Over this past year, thinking about, writing about gratefulness and being grateful has made me appreciate so much more my life and the love, friendships, brotherhood, with an association with everyone that I encounter on this journey. And there is not a day that passes that I do not stop and reflect upon and thank the great architect of the universe for giving me this life and this time to share all that I am grateful for and those I am grateful to for being with me on this incredible journey. And inevitably in those times, I have this overwhelming sense of gratitude to this incredible fraternity for the opportunity it has given me to grow, not only as a Mason, but more importantly, as a man. And I am so grateful that the Grand Master asked me to be part of his year. Thank you, Grand Master, for the honor and privilege of serving on your team this year. Now, brethren, we have all heard the saying, Masonry takes a good man and makes him better. And I absolutely believe this fraternity has made me a better man. How about you, brethren? How about you? Has it made you a better man? Has it? Yes. Brethren, I'm going to leave you with three things that I am very, very grateful for. And I'm going to ask you, if you are so inclined, would you please rise to your feet right now and join me in an expression of thankfulness and gratitude and fill this hall with the sound of your voices? And tell me, brethren, how grateful are you to live in the greatest country in the history of the world, the United States of America? Yeah! Let me hear it. Tell me now, brethren. Tell me now. Tell me now, brethren. How grateful are you to live in this, the great state of Texas? Yes. Tell me now, brethren. No, don't tell me. Tell the world. Let the world hear you. How grateful are you for the honor and privilege of being a Freemason? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great job, Right Worshipful. Great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the opportunity.
Thank you.